The vaccine is here, but the rollout is slow. Early hopes of having 20 million vaccinated by the end of the day today. Yeah, that'd be the end of the year, right? Well, they've turned into the reality that only about 3 million will get the vaccine when the new year shows up. What's the issue? Well, here to talk about it is Paul Seegert, managing partner at PCS Advisers, an employee benefits consulting firm.
Originally, we were told it's a moving target, and I think it's fair to expect that there would be some bumps on the road with a project this big. It's a huge undertaking, bigger than we've ever undertaken in this kind of thing as far as vaccinating a large population, targeting not only 70 or 80% of our population, but the world. Originally, we were told that there would be 45 million doses out by the end of this month. Now it's looking more like 20, and that just means that they're in the hands of the distributors going to these 64 jurisdictional centers. That's each state has one, territories and a few large metro areas, and then it's up to them to distribute within their jurisdiction. There's quite a supply chain that's popped up here in a pretty short period of time. So we've got messaging that was hopeful, and I think there's a bigger issue there. Are we getting messaging that's based on science and based on hard facts, or is it kind of a best case scenario? And maybe a little more honesty around that would be helpful. But the 45 million doses that we were told would be in hand by now was with the assumption that there would be more vaccines approved for emergency use, and that they didn't all come through as quickly as expected.
So with the 20 million being available, yet only 2 million given out at this point, and you talk about the supply chain, was it the federal government's responsibility, you think, to work out those supply chain issues ahead of time? Or is President Trump right to, in some cases, look at state governments and how they're doing it and saying, well, there's your problem right there?
Yeah, I think Trump has a very fair point in this case. These jurisdictional centers, which is mostly states, do have leeway to write their own plan as to how they're going to distribute the vaccine. When I was looking at some of those plans, you have some that are as few as a dozen pages and essentially adopted what the CDC recommended in terms of who gets the vaccine first and second and so on. And then you have some states that have plans that are 300 plus pages long, and for various reasons, they're choosing to prioritize different groups that they feel are disadvantaged or at higher risk, and it differs from the CDC. So they are going to perform differently. There's just no way around that. And some will be far more prepared than others, and we're going to see that play out here over the next few months.
So do you think the messaging, the optimism of being able to get a ton of people vaccinated ASAP, you think it's going to change under President-elect Biden?
You know, whether it's Trump or Biden or any other person, there's a large amount of guesstimating going on. And it looks to me like we will be in a much longer haul than any of us would like, you know, just with the moving target on herd immunity. Honesty and messaging is really going to be important going forward so that we can have the confidence of the American people. But we're looking at third quarter likely before we have the production up enough that average Americans are getting access to the vaccine based on what we're seeing so far.
That is Paul Seegert from PCS.